Tomorrow morning, the Women's Edge nonprofit will announce their official ranking of the top 100 women-led businesses in Boston at a special gala breakfast. Their keynote speaker tomorrow is Deesha Dyer, the author of the book Undiplomatic: How My Attitude Created the Best Kind of Trouble. From 2015 to 2017, she served as White House Social Secretary, obviously for the Obamas, formerly located in the East Wing, which should be a pile of rubble by 5 o'clock today. Deesha Dyer joins us via Zoom. Pleasure to meet you. Thanks so much for being here. Also joined by Elizabeth Haler, CEO of the Women's Edge, and Colette Phillips, President and CEO of Colette Phillips Communication. And speaking of legendary convener in chief
That's
in
right.
our community. For more info and to register to attend, you go to thewomensedge.org. Welcome to all three of you. Thanks so much for your time. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Well,
Thank you
Elizabeth,
for having us.
yeah, thank you very much for being here. We're going to get to the East Wing later. Don't worry. People are very upset about it. But let's start with you, Elizabeth. Tell people, what's the Women's Edge?
The Women's Edge is a women's leadership nonprofit. Excuse me. The Women's Edge has been around for 28 years. It's a nonprofit women's leadership organization. Up until 3 years ago, we were called the Commonwealth Institute, and we rebranded 3 years ago to the Women's Edge, which we felt better reflected who we are and what we do. So our membership has evolved from strictly C-suite all the way down to the rising generation across nonprofit, for-profit, and everything in between. So we really focus on leadership development, research, recognition, and connection.
Now, Colette, you're on the board, right?
I'm on the
You're on the
board,
board, and I know
yes.
you've been involved in the organization off and on forever. Fill in some blanks. I mentioned you're going to be ranking the top 100 women-led businesses. I know the ranking's coming out tomorrow. Flesh this out a little bit. What are we going to learn tomorrow? What's happening?
Well, one of the things you're going to learn is that the women-owned businesses or women-led businesses in Massachusetts contribute over $145 billion to the Massachusetts economy.
Wow.
It's actually $165 billion.
No,
I read that. It isn't? I thought I read the press release once.
Yes, it did.
There was a mistake.
Oh, Jesus.
no.
Well, let's edit that out. Is this live? Yeah, unfortunately, it's live.
late,
God, I'm
too
sorry.
late.
Go ahead.
Yes.
Go ahead. I'm
And,
sorry.
You think about it, for example, Etiquette, which is the largest company, they hire more people or have more people on their payroll than the state of Massachusetts.
Wow.
Is run by
Wow.
a woman, Julie Chen. Vertex, Reshma Kalamarami, who is a woman. So you look around.
She
and
spoke the other night at a dinner I co-emceed for the Asian Community Fund. One of the greatest speeches I've
Yes.
ever heard from a human being in
Really?
my life. She was
an
brilliant.
immigrant,
She was
a
brilliant.
woman of color, and running, a woman-led business, Vertex. So these are women. I am proud to say that when I was in my 30s, 10 years ago,
That's right. We were all in our 30s 10 years ago.
Last
I
week.
served on the I served on the Commonwealth Institute's board, and I feel like it's like being in the mafia. You leave, and Elizabeth pulled me right back here.
Perfect. Hey, Deesha Dyer, it's pretty obvious your schedule's pretty packed. Why'd this matter enough to you to keynote this thing?
You know, for me, I don't see a time where it's more important to, number one, be in community. Like, we have to be together right now. I mean, I don't think it's a farce to see, how much is happening in the world. And I think the answer is community. And I think that we also are seeing so many attacks on women's rights and women in general, that we need to kind of come together. And so when, they brought it to me through my dear friend Rose, I was like, this sounds right up my alley. And personally, I'm a business owner as well. So it's not just, me going to be a keynote speaker. It's me being in conversation and community with this great group that's come together. And so that's why it's important to me.
By the way, the business is Hook and Fasten. If people want to check it
Yes.
out, we should say yes.
You got one,
Yes, yes.
Deesha, you got one of the great titles of all time for a book, though. I love this. Undiplomatic: How My Attitude Created the Best Kind of Trouble. So
Yeah.
what was your attitude and what was the trouble?
I mean, my attitude is always as a disruptor, not a destroyer, which is interestingly enough what I start with tomorrow for the keynote. is how we need to be disruptors in this time. And, back in my day, I'm 47, very proud to be 47. There wasn't a movement of speak up as a woman and these shirts that say like, please use your voice. It was, you are using your mouth too much. You're too loud. You're too boisterous. You're too disruptive. But I just kept going. And that all took me to the White House to work for President Mrs. Obama. And so my attitude did create the best kind of trouble. And so that is the kind of trouble that I encourage people to get in, because that's what we need right now.
Elizabeth, are the number of women, I assume the answer is yes, but tell me how deep this is. I assume the number of women-led businesses in Massachusetts is growing every year. That's a safe assumption. Is it not, or is it?
I would say yes, no question. But for the top 100 list, it's women-led. So some of them are women-owned. But every year we'll have some attrition and then some new people. Someone retires, someone gets replaced. So this year we have 23 new companies on the list.
What's the impact of these women running businesses in a state where I think 5 of the 6 constitutional officers are women? First elected woman governor in our history. The mayor of the biggest city in Massachusetts is a woman. Does that trickle down into the business environment, or are they two separate animals?
I would say that they're certainly related. We're all part of the same community, and women are driving more and more business into the mass economy. For example, last year it was 124 billion. This year it's 141. In terms of employees that this encompasses, globally it's 477,569.
Wow.
And
Wow.
locally in Massachusetts, it's over 100,428. So we are making an impact, and it's across industry too, to what Claude was saying earlier. We've got the whole gamut across all industry. And it's very, very impressive that we've been able to continue to do this and grow. And Jim, when this started 25 years ago, the top 100, you could count the people in the room. It was a very small event. No one really knew. And now we've evolved to over 800 people for breakfast. The governor and the mayor will be there tomorrow.
And the
Yeah.
former governor
And the
of
former
Massachusetts.
Which former governor are we
Duval?
talking about?
And the-
Charlie Baker.
Charlie
Charlie
Baker.
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 Okay. So tell us what else is going on tomorrow, Colette Phillips. We know that Deesha's going to be the keynote speaker, but you mentioned Charlie Baker. What else is going to happen?
Well, we're going to do the countdown, of course, and
How do you rank them?
think-
What is the count? What are the criteria for ranking?
when I was on the board, and you continue to do that, you work with Babson.
You got to talk into the mic
We
here.
used to work with Babson. We used to work with Babson College, and you're very specific. Elizabeth, can you just
Yes, I'd be happy
explain
to.
how you do how we do
Sure.
that?
At a high level, we have a tried and true algorithm. So the revenue is certainly that most heavily weighted metric, but we also in the applications, we ask the top 100 nominees to answer a handful of open-ended questions that get ranked, along with certainly other aspects to the, how many people are on your women are on your boards and senior leadership, et cetera. But all that goes into an algorithm, and because if it was only if the revenue was the only metric, it would be the same person every year. So it's really important to shake that up a little bit.
And by the way, the reason we're not sharing the ranking yet is because they won't share the ranking with us.
Yeah, it's a
They're going to
count-
announce it tomorrow
tomorrow.
morning at the
Exactly.
But
breakfast.
in one of these stories I read about, and any one of you can deal with this, but the imposter issue. I've always felt. I think a lot of women, and I'm older than you guys, but I think a lot of women feel the imposter syndrome their whole career. Why is that?
Deesha talks about this.
Yeah, do you want to address that one, Deesha?
Of course. I mean, because we have systems in place that make us feel like we are less than. So the systems that are in place make us feel less than. So when we're younger, as I spoke up about, when I was younger, I was always very loud and very disruptive and very talking, asking a lot of questions. That wasn't seen as a positive. And so I automatically thought that I was faulty. As a Black woman who always spoke up, I was like, I shouldn't be speaking, and I would get in trouble. So I would think it was wrong. And so once then I grow up, the imposter syndrome grows up with me. I get into a workplace, and many of us get into a workplace as women, and we're just like, we're here to do the job. We're smart, we're capable. And then next thing you know, we're met with microaggressions that make us feel like you're a little less, or maybe you should go home and parent only, or you should do these things. So we have to play catch up. So that imposter syndrome really kind of grows in us as we grow up through college, law school, grad school, anything that we do, have businesses. And it is not until we get older, I think part of it is starting not to care. I know that I feel that way when I get older, but I think until we get older that we're like, wait a minute, this is a scam. This is a little bit of a scam, because now we like go to therapy and we do all these things that fix ourselves, but there's nothing wrong with us. The
But I think-
system is
Yeah.
wrong.
I was
There's nothing
gonna
wrong with
say-
us.
Go ahead, Colette.
One of the things that I think I never ever dealt with imposter syndrome, and I thank my parents for sending me to a single sex girls' school.
Oh,
And when you
wait a
are
minute, little K through 12 or in college or
K
when?
through 12,
You know
through
that
12.
Marjorie went to Smith for a year, but she left because she couldn't get a date? Do you
Well,
know that,
it's
by the
true.
way? I just want to be
true.
clear
I
about that.
did.
Go ahead.
and I think what happens is when you go to an all-girls school, we did all the parts, like when we did plays, when
Yeah.
we did all the parts
Yep.
the guys did.
Yep.
So you grow up feeling there is nothing you can't do as
Yeah.
a woman.
Yeah.
And I think that
Yeah.
helped to shape me when I came to this country as a young black woman. In
What's
a
the name of your
city where-
memoir? If people want to read more about your history, what's the name of
The
your book?
Includers.
The Includers.
Yeah.
How diverse
That's
is
a
this
great
list
point.
of 100, by the way? Is it? I assume it's mostly white women, yes?
And we have a good range of Latino, Asian, and black women on the list.
So, Elizabeth, can you, what is the qualitative, that may be the wrong word, but I'll start with that and then you say whatever you want. What's the difference generically, I guess is a better word, because obviously it depends on the individual, between a woman CEO and a male CEO?
Is this,
It's not a trick question. That was a real question, sort of, I guess.
I don't know if you want my answer.
No, I really want your answer now. Go ahead.
I guess to Colette's point, I have never seen the world as men and women. I just, in my whole career, I worked with men like all the time in the public accounting and consulting world. So I have just never really gone down that route. So I can't really say men CEOs are better than women. I will say that one of the things at the Women Edge we pride ourselves on is male allyship. And we have men on our board. We really count on
yeah.
our male partners and our companies, and because they need us and we need them. So, it's a win-win for us all. But we have so many, also, pretty much every major business organization in the Commonwealth supports our leadership impact study that we do every year for Massachusetts. So we have a lot of supporters, a lot of ambassadors, a lot of business partners. That's how we roll. We're very much into the connecting each other and not being just in our lane.
Okay, Deesha Dyer, whose book is Undiplomatic: How My Attitude Created the Best Kind of Trouble. I was so excited when I found out that you worked in the East Wing when you were working for the for the Obamas, and I have been surprised at the reaction to this demolishing of the East Wing. It's sad, I think, to a lot of people, but you were there. So, tell us about the East Wing of the White House.
And what was your reaction to the last couple of days?
Yeah, I'll be honest. I work in the hunger space, and so we have a little bit of a bigger problems happening right now with SNAP, and getting people food. So I really wasn't dialed into the East Wing demolition until I saw a photo yesterday. And I think like a lot of people, I was like, is that AI? Like, is that for real? And come to find out it is. And I think that it's sad. I think it's disgusting, and I think it's a metaphor for all that we're going through right now, because it wasn't just a building; it was a place where we, as the Obama administration, I cannot speak for others, really welcomed people into the White House. We welcomed people, their culture. We didn't care about classism. If you were poor, if you were rich, if you have been in jail before, if you were a sports athlete, you were in the same line as somebody who wasn't a sports athlete, and kids coming through. So it's really sad that, that this space is now gone. But I think that it is very much a representation of what all is going on right now. It's a shock jock. It's for value, and none of the legal proceedings were followed. And so, I just hope that the people that weren't paying attention are now paying attention and they get involved in their community. And why again tomorrow is so important because we need to be together and support each other. But the East Wing was lovely. I mean, we had a great time. We partied. We had we brought kids through. We had a lot of fun. But now it's no more. And it also says a lot about what people think the First Lady really does. And apparently, this administration, it's nothing.
By
Yeah,
the way,
that,
we didn't define. Social
Yeah.
secretary is
Yeah.
responsible essentially for everything that
Yeah.
the president and the first lady do, right? Everything.
Everything in the White House that the president and first lady do, the social secretary is
We can
responsible
barely
for.
get to work every day, Deesha. And the notion that
We need a social secretary.
can we stay on
want
I
one.
need my own. Yes, I needed my own.
Do you have
Deesha
to-
Dyer, since you mentioned a minute ago, you mentioned we talk a lot about the SNAP and food issues and food insecurity. If you're a Democrat who is standing strong, which is not how they've always been on shutdown issues, in November, it's likelihood that in part because of the shutdown, SNAP and other benefits are going to run out in a lot of jurisdictions. What do you say to a legislator who's trying to stand strong on the Medicaid and Obamacare premium issues, while at the same time, by standing strong, they're helping to put at risk critical nutrition for low and
Yeah.
moderate income people? How do you split that baby?
I mean, we split the baby by realizing that we operate in a system that doesn't really operate in checks and balances anymore. And so what I say to them is that you need to get back to your jurisdiction and your community, see actually what is going on, because what's going on in Washington is not the same thing going on in my hometown of North Philadelphia, right? There are people
You're a
actually
Philadelphia
starving.
kid?
I am.
So am I.
I am.
Oh my
Born
God.
and raised Philadelphia.
Wow.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Born
I'm
and raised.
sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. Can't you tell by the disruption? But yes.
But there's no accent. Where's the accent, by the way? What happened to the
Well,
accent?
yeah, I know. Well, Washington.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No worries. And so what I say is go back in your jurisdiction, because I think that while you are doing the right thing, there are people also currently starving. So what can we do on the ground to lift up the organizations that are helping the people right now? Because they're also dealing with federal funding cuts. So our food banks that
Yeah.
have to help the people are now losing money and staff, but the need is rising. And so that's what I say to them is don't lose connection with the actual people, because we know some politicians are doing this for their own vanity and ego, right? They'll come out with a book next week about how they held the floor for whatever hours, right? And you're like, really? Like, people are so hungry, So I hope your book does well. And so I say, don't lose touch with the people. Go back home.
Were the Obama? We should know this.
Okay, yeah,
Were the Obamas? Was the White House as good on women leadership and positions of importance as we've been talking about for the last 15 minutes? Did they walk the walk as well as talking it?
We walked the walk. We walked the walk within our lines that we could walk the walk. We also had a Congress to work with, and so we did the best that we could at the time. Could we have probably done better? Oh, of course. I'm sure we could have.
Okay.
But
okay.
yeah.
I want to ask you too, because lots of people that may be
Yes.
listening, they have children and are thinking about their careers and stuff like that. Do you study etiquette books to become the social secretary of the White House, or is there a White House etiquette book? I mean, what are the qualifications for social secretary? You know where the forks go, and the polite way to
Yeah.
talk. What is the deal?
That's a great question. No, I studied the Philadelphia etiquette of which is which I think at the time was on brand for this White House, because we didn't want to do things like everybody else did all of the time. So I was very lucky that I came from a line of social secretaries who knew where the fork was. So I was like, hey, Clinton secretary, can you help me with where this actually goes?
Okay.
So you do not have to know all that, but you do have to know how to welcome people, how
Yeah.
to throw an event that's inclusive, how to include people and bring folks in. And that is what I knew and what I did in Philadelphia. So I just brought it to a bigger stage. So yeah.
Great.
Was there a moment? I was reading all this late last night. Speaking of doing everything for the Obamas, weren't you involved in the infamous moment when the Trumps come and Melania Trump hands the Tiffany box gift? Do you mind quickly telling that story? Because I heard it long before we were
Yes.
lucky enough to have you. Tell us the story, if you would.
Yes, it was. I actually was the one who got the box from the Obamas when it came in. So Every time you do an event, everything's down to the minute. And I talked to the Trump advance team. I was one of the last staffers left in the White House, and I was in charge of the change of power. And I said, is there a gift that's arriving that we can prepare for the gift? Because Mrs. Obama gave Mrs. Bush a gift. It's not odd for it to happen. They said no. And so I was like, great, this is going to be easy. We're in the car, shake hands, take a photo, keep it moving. And I'm in the window. And while the Obamas are waiting for the Trumps to get out, I see Mrs. Trump get out with a box. And I'm like, is that her purse? Like, what is that? And it's a Tiffany's box at
Oh my
that. And we don't do branding. There is no look, a Tiffany's box. So
Nice commercial.
I panicked because I was like, oh my gosh, I told them there was no. So my first thought, this person who has imposter syndrome, I'm not doing my job well. Oh my gosh, I thought I didn't brief them well enough. And so Mrs. Obama, you can see on the video, takes the box, looks around like, I don't know what to do with this. President Obama sees that. He takes the box from her. And then I have the good sense, because I have the good sense, to walk halfway and take the box from him without the press seeing me. So that is actually what happened. I don't know what's in people always say, what was in the box? I'm like, it was a frame, but I didn't open it because it wasn't for me. So I put it on the table and kept it moving.
Okay, one last thing before Elizabeth makes a final pitch for the gala tomorrow. President Obama was kind enough to call into our show a bunch of years ago when it was the last day of Governor Patrick spent once a month in our studio for Ask the Governor. And it's a surprise for Governor Patrick, who worked it out over months, that President Obama was kind enough to call his friend. And it was a beautiful conversation. After he was done talking to Governor Patrick, I asked him, Obama, that is, if he had ever paid his parking tickets in Somerville from when he was a Harvard Law School and he evaded the question. Do you know if he ever paid the damn parking tickets, Deesha, or no?
I have no idea. What they did outside the White House is not my jurisdiction.
Okay,
so
fair enough.
I have no idea.
Elizabeth, you want to make one more pitch for tomorrow's breakfast?
Only to say that we are absolutely thrilled. We have a record turnout. We're sold out. We have just an extraordinary group of women leaders across the Commonwealth. And particularly now, as Deesha said, this is the time when we can't give up. We have to keep pressing ahead and making sure that we, all of us older people, are paving the way for all the rising leaders coming up. It doesn't matter where you're from and what industry you're in, for all women, we have to coalesce and cooperate and really support and lift up each other and make sure that we don't lose any more ground than currently we are. So we just want to keep going. Like, our mission hasn't changed. Given the socioeconomic climate, our mission is the same: inclusive, equitable leadership for all. And we happen to focus on women.
Fabulous. Congratulations to all of you.
Yeah,
It's
thank
great.
you very much for being with us, and congratulations to everybody for being here. I really appreciate it. Okay, we have been speaking with former White House Social Secretary Deesha Dyer, who used to work in the East Wing, which is quickly being demolished. Her book, again, is Undiplomatic: How My Attitude Created the Best Kind of Trouble. We're also talking with the CEO of the Women's Edge, and Colette Phillips. Give me the name of your book again, Colette Phillips.
The Includers.
The
Seven
Includers.
Traits of Culturally Savvy Anti-Racist Leaders.
Okay, thank you very much to all three of you. The event is sold out, but if you want to get more information about the Women's Edge, just go to thewomens'edge.org.